core argument for naturalism. 1. Empirical success of science. The natural world is intelligible and predictable through observation, experimentation, and reason. Scientific methods have consistently explained phenomena from planetary motion to consciousness without invoking supernatural causes. Therefore, the best explanation for reality is one that relies solely on natural causes. Principle 2. Ontological parsimony. Occam's razor. Naturalism posits fewer entities, only matter, energy, and physical laws. Under supernaturalism adds unobservable, unverifiable entities. So, naturalism is favoured for its simplicity and explanatory economy. 3. Causal closure of the physical. Every physical event has a physical cause. If supernatural causes existed, they would violate this closure. Since we don't observe such violations, naturalism remains the most coherent model. 4. Evolutionary reliability of cognition. Our cognitive faculties evolved to track reality for survival. If naturalism is true, our reasoning is a product of adaptive processes. Therefore, beliefs formed through reason and evidence are likely to be reliable, supporting naturalism itself. Counterpoint. The argument from reason. Interestingly, critics like C.S. Lewis and Alvin Plantinga argue that naturalism undermines rationality. If our thoughts are just the result of blind physical processes, why trust them to be true? This leads to a paradox. If naturalism is true, we have no reason to trust our belief in naturalism. Evolution doesn't undermine rationality, it selects for it. Evolution favors traits that enhance survival and reproduction. Cognition, especially pattern recognition, causal influence, and social reasoning, is instrumentally valuable for survival. Reality is not a fluke, but a selected trait. Just as a heart pumps blood without knowing why, a brain can generate logic without invoking metaphysical rationality. It's certainly not a ghost in the machine. Rationality is not a ghost in the machine, it's a pattern in the machine. Morality as rational empathy is not self-undermining. Empathy is a social adaptation, but its moral force is sustained by rational reflection. We don't refrain from harming others because we evolved empathy. We do so because we recognize its rational consistency with our values, desires, and social contracts. To act immorally would be to violate the very rational structure that naturalism posits as our cognitive foundation. The fact that morality is physically instantiated doesn't make it arbitrary. It makes it traceable, improvable, and accountable. 2. Self-correcting systems validate naturalist epistemology. Science and reason are self-correcting. They allow for error detection, hypothesis revision, and peer critique. This recursive structure is precisely what makes naturalist epistemology robust. If naturalism were epistemically self-defeating, it wouldn't produce systems that outperform supernatural models in predictive power and explanatory scope. The reliability of reason is not assumed, it's demonstrated through its fruits. 1. If evolution favors adaptive traits and reliable cognition is adaptive, then evolution favors reliable cognition. 2. Our cognitive faculties are demonstrably reliable in domains like science, engineering, and ethics. 3. Therefore, naturalism does not undermine rationality, it explains it. Naturalist moral agent typology, refined. Instinctive agent, yes empathy, no rationality. Justification. Acts morally through evolved affective responses like care, distress, and bonding. Lacks reflective reasoning but exhibits moral behavior rooted in survival-enhancing instincts. Example, a baby, or a highly social animal like a bonobo. Thin agent. No empathy, yes rationality. Justification. It can recognize the structural value of empathy and social cohesion without feeling it. Capable of moral deliberation and norm adherence through abstract reasoning. An example, a rational AI trained on ethical models, or a sociopathic human who understands moral rules but lacks emotional resonance. Instinctive fin agent. Yes, empathy. Yes, rationality. Justification. Combines effective moral impulses with reflective moral reasoning, capable of both intuitive and deliberative ethical behavior. Example, most adult humans functioning within social norms. Then, non-agent. No empathy, no rationality. Justification. Lacks any mechanism for moral detection, deliberation, or response. Cannot participate in moral systems or be held ethically accountable. Example, a comatose body or a purely reactive machine. A comatose person is not a moral agent. A comatose person lacks both. Empathy, they cannot experience or express effective responses like care, distress, or concern. Rationality, they cannot deliberate, reflect, or recognize moral structures or consequences. Because they are neurologically incapacitated, they have no intentionality. They cannot form intentions or make choices. No volition. They cannot act from will or preference. No moral detection mechanism. They cannot perceive moral dilemmas or respond to them. Implication for moral responsibility. Responsibility presupposes agency. To be held morally responsible, one must have the capacity to understand and choose. A comatose person cannot be held responsible for actions because they cannot act, intend, or recognize moral stakes. They are a non-agent in your typology, not because they lack moral worth, but because they lack the operational faculties that define moral agency. This distinction is crucial in forensic ethics, medical triage, and legal culpability. If naturalism is true, then empathy and rationality are both evolved mechanisms. These mechanisms co-actuate moral agency. Empathy provides the substrate, rationality provides the scaffold. Therefore, moral truths are not undermined. They are recited through evolved capacities that track survival and social integration. This avoids the epistemic collapse by showing that rationality is not arbitrary, it's adaptive and self-correcting. Empathy is not irrational, it's functional and morally generative. Moral agency emerges from the interplay, not the isolation, of these traits. Naturalism doesn't erode the foundations of reason, it explains them. It doesn't trivialize morality, it grounds it in the very architecture of survival and social cohesion. Empathy and rationality are not philosophical luxuries. They are evolutionary necessities that coalesce into moral insight. So rather than collapsing under its own weight, naturalism builds a scaffold for moral agency that is layered, resilient, and diagnostically rich. A blueprint for understanding how moral truths emerge, evolve, and endure.